Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Friday. You know that means the Don is here. Husam is in the house. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Big up to the Terrace audience. Make sure guys are slapping the like button. Make sure guys are subscribing. I'm good, other than the fact that it's cold as hell. It's only 1 degree hotter here than in London, so it's very cold for us, But yeah, big up to you guys. And there's Premier League football this weekend, so everyone's happy. We get some football to watch at least.
Yes, football is back for a lot of people. And that's actually the first place I wanted to start with you. By the way, hit the like button, everybody. If you haven't done it yet, subscribe, bell notifications. Obviously, go watch This Is Football as well. Go and subscribe to Husam. Just search This Is Football or Husam Liverpool, whatever it is. You'll find him. It's really easy. Just get it done. Man United host Tottenham Hotspur. Spoke to a few Spurs fans today on other shows I've done, and they've all said we're excited for Turbo Timo to turn up, and a lot of Spurs fans think they're going to beat us. How do you see this game going Sunday afternoon? Is it going to be a Spurs demolition? A Man United going to pull off a little bit of a shock? How do you see it going, brother?
This is the first time you actually didn't DM me pre-game to ask me for the results, so you can kind of change the title up. By the way, guys, when Terry says, he actually asks the guys that are coming on, he really does. He usually asks me before, who do you think is going to win, stuff like that, so he can adjust the title. I'm going to shock the world. I think Man United are beating Tottenham Hotspur. I think Tottenham Hotspur fans have been absolutely delusional about this game and about their front line. The front line of Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, and Timo Werner, or whoever the hell else they have in that front line, does not scare anyone. I'll be real with you. This is the weekend of inferiority complexes. And I think Tottenham Hotspur have an inferiority complex when it comes to Man United. I don't even remember when's the last time they even beat you at Old Trafford. What, lockdown season, 6-7 years ago?
And
you've been trashed for maybe 3 of those years. So they usually don't do well at Old Trafford. I despise Man United more than anything, but it's always like Tottenham Hotspur just don't have what it takes to step up away at Old Trafford. And I think this theme will continue this weekend. I think Son is going to be a massive miss. There's one player as well who's going to be a massive miss that many people aren't talking about. That's Pape Sarr. Because Pape Sarr has been holding together their midfield in the absence of Bissouma and in the absence of Maddison. He's been the guy actually holding them together and keeping the shape, keeping the structure. I think that's going to be a massive miss as well. The only positive from the Spurs perspective is possibly there is a slight possible return of James Maddison, maybe, or someone like that, it's been used that maybe 1 or 2 of the injured players could be back. I don't know how true it is, whether it be Van de Ven or Maddison, maybe one of them. But this game, all eyes are on Ten Hag, because Ten Hag's tactics and his system could win them or lose them the game. Tottenham Hotspur cannot play against a low block to save their life. Ten Hag, you're already in trouble. 3/4 of the fan base want you out. Just for once in your life, do what's right. And what I mean by do what's right, play defensive, have a low block against Tottenham Hotspur, hit on the counter-attack. There is just nothing else that Man United should even attempt doing. And I think with the likes of Garnacho, Rashford, and Højlund on the counter-attack, they should be able to score in this game. And Timo Werner ain't scoring a goal. Let's cut the crap, guys.
Well, there's a lot of Spurs fans I say online referring to him as Turbo Timo.
Turbo Timo.
What's your thoughts on this deal now? A week to reflect on it. There's a lot of Tottenham fans getting excited about it. They think it's a bit of a master stroke. How do you see it, bro?
The problem is the fact that we're not all supporters of Manchester City has turned certain sections of certain fan bases into accountants before they're even football fans. People will come here and say stuff like, it makes sense from a financial perspective. Okay, does it make sense from a footballing perspective? No, it does not. We've seen Timo Werner at Chelsea. He absolutely stank at Chelsea. He was an even bigger disaster than Nunez. And then we've seen him at Leipzig. He's actually only played 200 minutes this season. I don't know how Spurs fans are trying to gas it up like it's some sort of good signing. This ain't no good signing. This is a terrible signing. I don't care if it makes sense from a financial perspective. And signings like this is exactly why Spurs are where they're at. And I'll tell you why now. Time to expand on the Spurs thing right here. Here's the thing with Tottenham Hotspur.
Back in my chair. I'm going to sit back, crack my neck, and let's listen.
As things stand, Tottenham Hotspur are 1 point behind Arsenal, 3 points behind City, and I think 4 or 5 points behind us, or 6 points behind us, with having to play a right back and a left back at centre back.
That's good.
So this is them having to essentially adapt to massive injuries in the team. Van de Ven has been out. Romero's out 35% of the time anyway, but Romero's been out. Bissouma's been out. Maddison's been out. And Son is going to go now, and they're in this position right here. They are in this position, 1 point behind Arsenal Football Club. So when you look at Tottenham Hotspur, there is not a single person right now that can convince me that Tottenham Hotspur do not have a chance of winning the English Premier League. Because City don't look that convincing. Arsenal don't look convincing. Liverpool, as a Liverpool fan myself, I'll tell you, there are question marks even about my own team. I still believe we need transfers to be able to kind of go to the next level. But when you look at Tottenham Hotspur, they genuinely have a genuine, honest opportunity at winning this league. And remember, people need to remember something. While Liverpool are playing Europa, Arsenal are playing Champions League, City are playing Champions League, Spurs ain't got no Europe to worry about as well. So they play once a week. What is this? Just FA Cup weekends they've got to worry about? I think if Daniel Levy and if Tottenham Hotspur as an institution had any ambition to win, like to actually become a winning football club, they go out in this January and they sign what's needed. People keep saying, who's available? Who's available? Listen, money talks, bullshit walks. Everyone's available for a certain price. Like, let's say Mo Salah obviously is not up for sale, right? If Real Madrid call Liverpool and offer 500 million, we're obviously going to sell him. Like, let's be real. Like, everyone has a price, essentially, in the world of football. So you cannot tell me Spurs cannot find an elite striker to bring in or an elite midfielder to bring in. The midfield market right now, there's so many options in the world for them to bring. The centre-back market, I can go Todibo, I can go Inacio, I can go Diomande, I can mention so many centre-backs that can come in and improve Spurs. I believe if Spurs made 2 or 3 right signings this January, they would actually put themselves in a title race and possibly win the league this season.
Wow, I mean, that's
you signed Ferguson and we're not worried.
But you called them imposters. Now you're saying they've got a chance to win the league.
They are imposters. They are imposters when they're top of the league, undefeated. That's not the real Spurs. And I think, and I think even with their team fully fit, had Spurs had 0 injuries, they still wouldn't be top of the league right now. I still think they would have dropped points because people were pretending that Spurs were just absolutely destroying opposition and no one had a chance against them and shit like that. You even mentioned it yourself in the Man United game. They won 2-0. Bro, Man United hit the bar like 2-3 times, like stuff like that. We know in football, sometimes luck goes your way, sometimes it goes against you. And in those first 8-9 games, it looked like everything was going Spurs' way. Literally everything was going Spurs' way, including the biggest robbery since VAR we've ever seen. So stuff like that was always going in Spurs' way. Now, maybe stuff will pull in the other direction. But I think Spurs, had they spent money and they took it seriously, I think they would be in a better position. But they're here signing Werner and Dragusin. I'm shaking right now. They've signed Timo Werner. I'm so scared. Come on, man.
They're also looking at potentially dropping between 45 and 55 million on Conor Gallagher.
This is exactly why they're not serious. This is exactly why they're not a serious football club. Conor Gallagher. You know, just ask Chelsea fans, would they sell him? They tell you yes right now. Literally right now. 3/4 of them would be happy to get rid of Conor Gallagher. So, yeah, this literally proves when it comes to standards that it's not necessarily the fans that are the problem. It's the ownership. It's the people underneath that, the structure. Daniel Levy. Ask yourself right now, does Daniel Levy really want to win the English Premier League? Does he? Because if he does, okay, Ange Postecoglou's done really well. This team's done really well. Let me go out in January and spend 100 million on 2-3 players, improve this team, and help get us over the finish line. But instead, he doesn't do that. And they're more worried about from a business perspective type shit. So, yeah, I'll be honest. See, I'll sell him for free, Terry. Blues Empire. I bet if you ask any Chelsea fan in the chat, would they sell Conor Gallagher, they would 100% sell him, 100%. So
yeah, I mean,
the
most
fact that Spurs
Chelsea,
are getting him
most
makes no
Chelsea
sense.
fans, yeah, most Chelsea fans are buzzing about it. What do you make though of the statement from a lot of Spurs fans that if Big Ange wants him, we trust him?
I actually saw this, and there's kind of been a tiny civil war in the Spurs fan base right now, and I love when there's a civil war in other fan bases, not my own, but other fan bases. I love it.
I mean, you
With
normally
this-
start most of the civil wars, to be fair, mate.
Hey, listen, hey, harsh reality hurts some people. Anyway, back to Spurs with Tottenham Hotspur, right? And the Ange Postecoglou thing. Ange is not the Messiah. Ange been managing for 30 years. He's not some new guy. Ange could be wrong. This is breaking news, Spurs fans. I know you all have Ange posters in your room and you look at them before you sleep and you give your little picture a kiss on the phone and then you go to bed. Ange Postecoglou is not infallible. He is capable of making mistakes. Gallagher is a wrong transfer. Werner is a wrong transfer. You're just going to end up with two of Chelsea's rejects, essentially, and try to take your club to the next level. If Chelsea, who are 10th, are willing to sell Conor Gallagher, it tells you all you need to know about the level of player that you're getting. When it comes to Ange Postecoglou, by the way, Jurgen Klopp doesn't have the best talent ID. I've said this before multiple times. No manager in the world is perfect. Pep Guardiola did not stay up at 3 a.m. watching River Plate compilations to buy Julian Alvarez. He did not do that. People came to him and were like, there's player X who does this, does that, does this, does that. And then he was like, okay, get him in and let's cook. But with Tottenham Hotspur, there's a serious lack of ambition. And if Ange wants him, then Ange is wrong. And Ange could get things wrong, just like he got the high line wrong against Chelsea, just like he's done multiple things wrong this season. Mistakes can happen with managers. If Jurgen Klopp actively says, I don't need a centre back this January, he's wrong. I'll say that about my own manager because people get upset when I mention their manager. Ange is not the Messiah. Ange is not the second coming, of he is someone who just is a manager who's come and improved Tottenham Hotspur, but at the same time can make mistakes. Gallagher is a mistake. Werner is a mistake. Dragusin, time will tell. But the fact that Bayern were looking at him is a positive indication. But I don't know how positive it is because they did get Eric Dyer. So, I don't know what to say, to be honest with you. So, that Eric Dyer transfer just, messed up everything we knew about Bayern Munich.
That Erik transfer, that could, like in Back to the Future, where they made one change and it ruined everything. I feel like that transfer could. We spoke for years. FFP could ruin football. Billionaires could ruin football. Fans can ruin football. I think Eric Dyer to Bayern Munich could be the beginning of the butterfly effect that causes a tsunami for football. It's such a mad transfer. It is crazy, but fair play to him. Listen, imagine flopping at Tottenham, but your move from there is to a club that is so much bigger and better than Tottenham. Will never be Bayern Munich. Tottenham will never be uttered in the same breath as Bayern Munich in anyone watching this show's lifetime, ever. Imagine you get that level up. Honestly, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. Can't believe it.
By the way, we're talking about standards and stuff like that. Let's say Daniel Levy, and we're saying, stuff like Ange wants him, blah, blah, blah. Okay, no problem. Let's say Daniel Levy walks into the Postecoglou office and is like, tomorrow, Toney, Palhinha, and Inacio are joining the club. Are you telling me Ange Postecoglou is going to go like, no, I really want Werner? Can we be real now? Because this is the problem. People say Ange want him. Like, if Daniel Levy, and by the way, Daniel Levy is capable of spending a shitload of money because they are so far away from breaking FFP rules because they literally had 2-3 years where they spent fuck all as well. And they just sold Harry Kane in the summer. So they have money, 100%.
Yes, crazy one. How do you see this game going then? What would be your score prediction for Man United hosting Tottenham this Sunday?
I actually think it's going to be a goal fest. I think we're going to get 5 goals in this game. I think Spurs lose this game 3-2. Man United win it 3-2. Old Trafford is a bad ground for Tottenham Hotspur to go to. And I think because defensively, I don't think both teams have been on it. I know people are saying Van de Ven is back. Van de Ven is not Paolo Maldini, respectfully. People are acting like he's Maldini. We get it. He's quick and he can stop counterattacks. But I think there's going to be a 3-2 win for Manchester United. I see a goal fest in this game. And yeah, I think they do end up winning the game, Man United.
I hope we do. There's some positive news surrounding the club. You know, Casemiro's back. Lissandro Martinez is back. For a lot of people, I'm kind of glad because there's a lot of Man United fans that think our fortunes are going to change. We're going to become a much, much better team again. Now, my hope is they're right. I'm sort of a football fan that if I'm predicting something negative for my team, because that's how I feel, I want to be wrong. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, I was right. Because why would you ever celebrate your team being bad? It doesn't make sense to me. Just as an individual, each to their own, of course. I think we're going to win as well, though. I do think we'll win. Do you know what's crazy about it, though? We win. I think it prolongs things with Ten Hag. But I almost don't want him to lose either. Because all the news stories at the moment surrounding our club, if we sack Ten Hag, the story won't go away that Graham Potter remains the favourite to come in and replace him. Then I sort of sit there and think, and I've said before to Arsenal fans, I get the idea of sacking Arteta if he fouls this season, but only for a manager that you know is genuinely better than him, not for a manager where it's debatable whether he's better or not. And Graham Potter, no matter how bad you think Ten Hag is, it's at the very least debatable whether Potter is better, and most people would say he isn't better. So I'm almost at a point where if we're going to sack him to bring in Potter, I'd rather stay with Ten Hag personally. It's the best of a bad bunch, I suppose. But these Graham Potter rumors won't go away. I need someone at the club to come and shut them down. Because imagine failing under Ten Hag and you think Graham Potter's going to be the guy to turn the ship around. Crazy.
Yeah, I get what you're saying in terms of Potter. I don't necessarily think Potter is going to be a good managerial appointment for Man United. Maybe he'll be like a good transition manager where he comes on, maybe steadies the ship, changes the style maybe to a more offensive style, stuff like that. Possibly. There could be a couple of positive things he would do. But long term, 100% Graham Potter would not work at Man United. I think just maybe 6 months after Potter is hired, 7 months after, as soon as next season starts, within 4-5 game weeks, Terry will be doing Potter out videos, so it'll just be pointless. So I think it could be a good, solid transition manager to get you to a certain place. Your problem is Jim Ratcliffe has liked Graham Potter since he wanted him at Nice. He's been on this Graham Potter hype train for a really long time, so he really likes the guy. So maybe he's just kind of transformed his love towards Potter from Nice to Man United. The problem is in Jim Ratcliffe's mind is, he needs to understand that Nice and Man United are on the same level. And if Graham Potter comes in and literally loses 3 out of 4 games, it's already people calling for his head. So it's a completely different situation. But I don't really think a managerial appointment alone solves issues. Because issues are way deeper than just managerial appointments. I think Jim Ratcliffe, before he even thinks of the manager, has got to do probably 5, 6, 7 sackings and hirings, and make correct decisions in terms of scouts, in terms of recruitment, in terms of departments like that. Because Man United have wasted a shit ton of money over the last 10 years. Man United have actually spent more money than Man City and have won like literally not even like half of what Man City or 1/5 of what Man City's won. So I think they need to fix a lot above the manager, because I'll be a liar if I said just sack Ten Hag and everything's solved.
I agree. Look, I'm someone that thinks that I just don't think Ten Hag can turn this dressing room around. I don't think he's the man to do it, considering the context of our situation. And people often forget the context of situations. I've been doing a bit of research today. I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans online starting to rewrite history about how things weren't that bad when Arteta came in. Their club wasn't really in that bad of a mess. If you look at their league finishes, the cup finals they'd been in. And I'm sitting there thinking, I swear, I'm just going back and watching content from 4, 5, 6 years ago and what people were saying about how bad a rebuild was needed, how they've got to gut the club, how they're awful. Now suddenly they're speaking like there is not that problem. And that's the same way as I see this Ten Hag situation. I get that just sacking him doesn't fix Man United. Multiple things have got to change, but I just don't believe the fact that he's managed 18 months in the context of this toxic shithole that he's in. I don't believe he's going to be able to turn that round, because just of the general state of human nature, and he'll be seen as part of that kind of problem. And it's a lot easier to do it with a brand new face who has no poor relationships with anybody, and it's kind of a clean slate for everybody. Typically in business, sport, education, that's how you get change quickly. When a school has to turn things around, they generally remove the head teacher, bring somebody new in to help guide that ship. So it's never really a personal thing with me with Ten Hag. Just my experience, I suppose, in crisis management, and that's where Man United are in a big crisis, and you can't rewrite history to serve a personal agenda. In my view, it doesn't do good.
Let me ask you a question. You just said if it's Potter, you'd rather keep Ten Hag, which is fair.
Yeah.
So let's say Jim Ratcliffe fixes the recruitment team, fixes the structure above Ten Hag. You wouldn't be willing to give Ten Hag an opportunity with a new structure, a new system in which Ten Hag does not have final say on transfers. Other people are deciding, or even Ten Hag's included in it, but it's a together thing. You see how like Klopp and Liverpool as an example, like there's a team that does all the work and then Klopp will look at all the work and go like, yes, no type thing. But it can't be Ten Hag just going like Ajax, Dutch player, blah, blah, blah. You can't be doing that. So like, you wouldn't be willing to give him an opportunity even? Because the other option, if the other option is Potter, like,
so yeah, if Potter's the option, then yes. Am I willing? I don't have any say on it. So let's just say I as a fan, what would my reaction to that be? More so than would I allow it? Because I can't stop it. My reaction would be, I think this could be a mistake. However, I will hope and I will pray that it works. And if that's the decision, they're going to stick with him for a certain period of time. I'm gonna get behind the decision in the sense of I'm not going to nitpick at every little problem, because it's going to take us. Rome isn't built in a day, and it's going to take time to fix it. So it wouldn't be a decision that I would say I agree wholeheartedly with it, but I'm still going to sit there and go, okay, the new regime have said they believe this man can turn it round. I'm more focusing on them. If it doesn't work and he can't turn it around and he keeps falling out with players, we keep not progressing football in, the football doesn't become better, we're not seeing Ten Hag's style, which we all thought he was going to bring, then I won't then be taking it out on the manager. I will then be looking at the people that made that decision because they had the opportunity to move him on. And as you said earlier about Spurs buying people, barring Klopp and Pep, probably Ancelotti because of the club that he's at, I think every other manager in the world is available if you offer him the right amount of money. So I do believe that there's attainable targets out there. But look, if they believe they can turn it around and he does, I would also hold my hands up as a man and say, I didn't think he could turn it around, and he did. I'm happy. If he stays, I want him to turn it round. I want him to be successful. I've got no agenda that makes me want to see him foul. You won't see me celebrate a loss more than a win in that circumstance, because my priority is Man United being better. And if that's the decision the new people are making, I am going to get behind the new decision makers, depending on who they are. I'm going to get behind them for the time being and hold them accountable, but get behind them, sit back and not be negative. I just can't be negative at every turn, every minute of every single day. That's just not how I'm built. So yeah, that's kind of my view on it, really, in terms of keeping Ten Hag. I think it's easier with a new manager, but it does depend who's available. And more than who's available, who says yes? Because if all those better managers say no, and you're left between stick with Ten Hag or get Graham Potter, listen, I'm Ten Hag's best friend in that context. Please stay. So yeah, I don't want Graham Potter anywhere near Man United, because he will drown like a bunch of kittens in a sack being thrown into a river. It'll be over very, very quickly. It'll be done.
If it's like a Simeone or a Zidane or blah, blah fairs, but if it's like, no, I get what you're saying, because the thing is, it's not just Ten Hag's fault. The people who gave Ten Hag power are also at fault, because you're the one who's giving this guy all the decision making.
Yeah, of course. And we're not even making him, I would be turning around if I was to Jim and saying, listen, I want you to coach a style of football that we saw you coach at Ajax. I don't have the players for it. Then we'll buy you the players for it. But that's the football we want to see from day one. That is what's got to be pushed. That could change my mind. Matata here says, Terry, there were no content creators during my growing up days. Football was never distracted with debates. I don't know where you grew up, but where I grew up in London, every single day was football debates. Every minute of every single day, you meet your friends in the morning, talk football. At school, talk football. In the playground, you spoke football. When I left school and I become a man, you meet my friends. In the pub, we talk football. Going to football, we'd debate football. At home, playing FIFA, we'd talk football. I go to work, you'd talk and debate football. Every single minute of nearly every single day. And I can't speak for every single country and every single town within those countries, but I know for a fact, growing up when I lived in London and when I lived in Manchester, football, even when I was part of Team GB, kickboxing and karate, most of our conversations were about football and debates were about football. So yeah, I have to politely disagree with you, my friend. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It was the same for me growing up, I lived football towards my whole life because I was the only Liverpool fan in school. The second Liverpool fan to come after me in school was like 10 years younger, so it was a rarity to find a Liverpool fan. But yeah,
well, the only difference now is we do it on the internet. But this is I don't actually do it with my mates as much anymore. If we're out and they start talking football, I say, can we change the subject? It's jarring now when I'm not, because it's work. So moving on from Manchester United, a lot of Chelsea fans are calling me out for this, bro. They think I've got an agenda when I say there's a pressure on the manager and there is a demand for him to be sacked. Where? Well, it's been trending #1 in England, above World War III and Ten Hag for 2 days now. Poch out is trending. World War III, Ten Hag, R.I.P. Billy. I don't know who Billy is. And Poch out. Poch out right now is a #1 trend, as you can see in the UK. How is he hanging on, in your opinion? Most Chelsea fans I speak to want Poch out and they want him out now. How is he hanging on, in your view, mate?
First of all, R.I.P. Billy, whoever he is. And when it comes to Pochettino, I'm actually gonna just listen, man. I've had enough of Chelsea. I've actually had enough of that football club. I've had enough of the fan base. Everything is Poch's fault. Cole Palmer missing those 2 opportunities was not Poch's fault. Gallagher missing that opportunity was not Poch's fault. The Broya chance was not Poch's fault. I actually went and done my research because I knew you were going to ask about Pochettino today. In the English Premier League, Chelsea have created 44 big chances. They have missed 40 of them. They have created 44 big chances. Official Premier League website. Go check it right now. Just go premierleague.com, team stats, and you'll see it right there. Big chances created. Chelsea have created more chances than Arsenal, than Aston Villa, and then multiple other clubs. But they have missed more chances than all these teams as well. They have missed 40 big chances out of 44 created. That's not on Pochettino. That's not Pochettino's fault that they don't have a forward that can put the ball in the back of the net. I'll give you an example even from their last Premier League game. Then they lose their last Premier League game against Wolves. In the first half, I promise you, not a single person who's Poch can convince me that in the first half, Pochettino did not coach a 5-0 to Chelsea. That first half alone, he coached a 5-0. He coached a 5-0 to Chelsea alone in that first half against Wolves. The Sterling chance, the Broya chance, the Palmer chances. They created so many opportunities and missed them all. What Chelsea fans need to understand is this is not the Abramovich era anymore. This is not the Abramovich era. The moment Abramovich walked out of your football club, Todd Bowley walked in, is where your whole thing went to the shits. Because now you have made and I said this to Terry in the summer, this is the worst fan base to have this type of essentially a plan or structure with, the Chelsea fans. Because all they want is just success. The average age of your squad is about 15 years old. No 15-year-olds can win no Premier League title or no Champions League or no big trophies. This is the thing. And there was something, big up Hamza. Hamza is a massive fraud sometimes, but there's certain things he says and you're like, you know what? He actually makes a valid point there. Against Borough, I don't know where they are on the championship. They're like 12th or 13th. They got 14 players out. Pochettino should go into that game, not say a single word, and they should still beat Borough by 3 or 4 goals. All respect to Carrick, all respect to all the Borough players, but we're talking logically here. Pochettino does not even need to open his mouth, and Chelsea need to win that game 3-4 by 3 or 4 goals. Because we cannot sit up here and lie. And now, for me, the energy now shifts onto the players. Are some of these Chelsea players, and I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask everyone in the chat, are some of these Chelsea players a lot more overrated than we think? Are they not as good as we first thought? Now, I'm not going to mention the usual suspects and Enzo and blah, 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 because I think that's being an agenda. You know why? Because I think Enzo actually done well against Borough. I don't even think he done badly. Caicedo, even I got bamboozled in the summer. Disasi, I don't think he's been a good signing for them. Sterling, this season, dreadful. Broha is the worst striker I've seen in the whole league. There's so many players, Conor Gallagher. These are all, once again, let's say Pep Guardiola walks into the Chelsea squad right now. He lines all of them up in front of him. Pep Guardiola, which player are you taking at your club? Probably other than Enzo, he ain't taking no one. Mudryk, exactly. Lampard, I tell you, he's crap. Levi Colwill got cooked by a championship third-choice winger for Borough. These are the questions here that we have to ask. Are these players overrated and just not good enough? Because all that's going to happen, let me explain something to the Chelsea fans because they can't get it through their heads. This is not Abramovich. This is Todd Bowley. If you sack Pochettino tomorrow and get in First of all, stop saying Mourinho, because Mourinho does not work with youth. Mourinho is not a youth or an academy manager. Mourinho does not manage 17, 18, 19-year-olds. Mourinho manages winners. If Mourinho walked into your club tomorrow, first thing he's doing is buying 5 30-year-olds. Mourinho don't have time for your young, inexperienced crap structure thing. He don't have time for it. And third of all, whichever manager you get in, who's the best of the rest available right now? You know, I don't know. Like insert, because no elite manager would work at Chelsea as currently constructed. Simeone wouldn't do it. Mourinho wouldn't do it. Zidane wouldn't do it. So let's all cut the crap here. Let's talk reality. Out of all the up-and-coming amazing managers, the Amorims and the blah, 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 and the young guys who wear suits and don't have a beard and look young and have their own fucking, you know, style and structure of playing football. Out of all of these guys, pick your best one. Hire him as Chelsea manager. All you're doing is literally hitting a reset button. Nothing will change. Because when I tell you you've created 44 big chances and missed 40 of them, you cannot say that's on Poch. You cannot say that's on Poch, because via XG, this is the final thing I'm saying, using XG, had Chelsea taken their opportunities and it's been balanced with the other teams, Chelsea would be on 41 points, sitting a point above Arsenal right now. Do you understand? Like where you would have been had you just taken your chances. I'm not saying all of them, because no team creates 44 big chances and scores 44, but I'm saying even half of them. Do you understand how that you improve by 10, 15 points?
Yeah, so you're basically saying this isn't really Poch. This is the fact that they've, over the last 2 summers, they've spent £1 billion and they've bought a lot of players that there's a lot of hype about, but actually they're not as good as everybody thinks they are. And whether you sack Poch and hire a new manager, they're probably going to be in the same situation irrespective.
Yes. I don't think so. What would sacking Poch do? Hire the next best thing. Amorim walks into your club right now. You already have an offensive system.
You already have
the system that creates chances. You just miss them all.
Jack's here says this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And I don't know what Jack would say after that. But a challenge that gets thrown out a lot by Chelsea fans who come on the show, Don, Chairs, all these guys, is that Poch keeps playing multiple individuals out of position. And say Mohamed Mudryk has a good game, they almost know, guarantee next match, he's on the bench again. And he can't ever kind of get a flow of games together, pick his form up. Bro, you're scored in the FA Cup. Midweek, you need a striker against Borough, and he starts him on the bench. So what's your response when Chelsea fans say, we understand some of the players are not performing, we understand the XG argument, but the manager keeps making consistent mistakes with his starting lineup, his substitutions, and then not allowing any kind of relationships to form on the pitch? What do you say to that?
This is exactly why Chelsea fans are full of shit. Because in that game against Borough, had Broha started and he benched Madueke, the first thing they would have said in the match reaction, Madueke just scored a goal against Luton. He's had 2 goals in 2 games. Why should he drop him? Had he dropped Palmer, oh my God, Palmer's been our best forward this season. Had he dropped Sterling, Sterling is the one forward that Chelsea have that consistently gets GNA, blah, 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 blah. So it's always some new shit. Pochettino is not flawless. Pochettino has made multiple mistakes. By the way, the game against Borough, I thought his substitutions were bad. And I think Pochettino has made so many mistakes. And you know, if Chelsea fans want to hold them accountable for that, no problem. But in their mind, they're thinking, sack Pochettino, get a new man in, problem solved. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Because if you get a new man in, it just does not work. Someone would say, oh, he shouldn't have played Gallagher. And then the other guy would say, Gallagher's been our best player this season. He should have played Gallagher. One guy would say, oh, he shouldn't have played Disasi here. The other guy would say, oh, he played really well the last time there. So it's just like they're confused about their own team because they just don't get it. And you know what it is? You know how, like, I've watched documentaries about people when they spend so much time in jail. Certain people, you know, when they spend like 15, 20 years in jail, they find it hard making it out to the normal society. It's the reverse for Chelsea. So they've lived the high life for the last 20 years, and now it's their time to suffer like the rest of the normal football fucking fans, and they don't want to suffer immediately. Get Potter out. There was the bald guy. Get Andrew Tate out. Get the Pochettino out. And then Amorim comes in, right? Let's say the next big thing. Next big thing comes in, Amorim. Amorim will have them 6th, 7th. They'll all be like, oh, see, we told you we're not as bad as 10th. Year after, if Amorim isn't in like third, second, or first by January. Get Amorim out my club. We're Chelsea fans. Blah 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 blah. And it's just same shit, same cycle. They just don't understand that this structure that they have gotten in under Todd Bowley is a structure to win the league 4 years from now. Not now. This is what he's done, guys. Badiashile, Disasi, Enzo, Caicedo, Gallagher, Lavia, Palmer, every single player you have signed is literally 23, 24 and under. That is not a team ready to win the league now. It is not. Caicedo, let's look at Caicedo as an example. Liverpool wanted Caicedo in the summer. My club wanted him. Would Caicedo have been this bad at Liverpool? No. But now you ask me, why wouldn't he have been this bad? Because Klopp's a better manager and because Caicedo's surrounded by experience. So when Caicedo walks in, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, Trent, Alisson, Robertson, all these players are welcoming him in like, yo, we've won it all. We've been there, done that. Follow our lead. At Chelsea, other than Thiago Silva, there is really no one who's been there, done that. Sanchez was Brighton's third choice keeper, for fuck's sake. So when you say stuff like, there's literally no one to even carry these kids and get them through. James Milner would do this Chelsea team wonders. Even someone with experience who could just get them through the times. This is what Chelsea fans don't get. They keep talking like this is the Abramovich era. You could get Zidane into this team tomorrow and you're still not good enough to challenge or compete within the next 2 years. You need to develop experience and you need these players to get experience. Simple as.
Look, I think you make some good points. I understand this isn't the Roman era. They can't expect it to run that way. They have to build something that's more sustainable. They have to add more experienced players to this squad. I still think, though, when I look at Poch, I think Poch is a loser. I think Poch is genuinely a loser. I think Poch doesn't have the confidence at this level. We've seen him manage 13 years. Okay, 13 years he's been a manager. A couple of years of that, he was at PSG. Now, I want to make this claim. I stand by this. Sheffield United's Wilder, David Moyes, Ten Hag, everyone hates him at the minute. We'll throw Ten Hag into that. Graham Potter could. You give any one of those managers the reins for 2 years in France with PSG, especially when you had Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi as your main attacking three, you're winning a league title. You're going to win a domestic trophy or two. Without sounding disrespectful to the French league, without being rude, it is such a monopoly. I think it's relatively easy for a manager. The players have still got to work hard every game, but for a manager, I think they can do it fairly easy. Outside of those couple of years there, he spent 11 years of his career in the two biggest, most difficult and best leagues in the world. Spain, La Liga, of course, and the Premier League. And he has won a grand total of 0. When there was a debate between Man United fans, who do you want, Poch or Ten Hag? I said about both of them that there is a big question mark over both. Neither have been successful at this level. Erik Ten Hag hasn't managed at this level of football before. He hasn't. The Eredivisie doesn't compare to the Premier League in terms of overall quality, scrutiny, etc. It just doesn't. I know it's a good league, good, amazing technical footballers, but it's a different level overall, in my personal and humble opinion. But I didn't want Poch because I've seen enough of him at Tottenham. And I've seen enough of him even at PSG with what it started to happen to know that the guy is a bottle job. He doesn't have the confidence. The style of football at Chelsea right now is starting to regress. They're not even moving the ball as well. The tinkering and messing around with the team, the galaxy braining, all of that on the regular basis, he does it for me, is a sign of somebody that's lacking confidence. And I think your arguments are fair, but I don't think the Poch situation can just be ignored. I genuinely don't think that it can be ignored. And that's my kind of issue with what you're saying. It's almost, you don't have to reset a project by sacking a manager. The project remains, but you should have a head coach. They don't even need a manager. They need a head coach who can make them play better football, can build the confidence to put the ball in the back of the net.
Than this?
Yeah, I mean, I think they started well this season.
Are one of the best teams in the league to watch right now.
I think they were up until about the middle of November. It's starting to look dry. It's genuinely, for me, it's starting to look dry, bruv. I'm just looking at it thinking, all fur coat and no knickers, mate.
Pochettino's the third best manager in the English Premier League. As things stand.
No.
Yes, I'll tell you why. First of all, for me, I do not lump trophies together and say manager X is better than manager Y. Because had that been the case, I would be saying Pep is better than a lot of managers, which I don't think. it is. Since Juan de Ramos, not a single Spurs manager have won a trophy. Harry Redknapp didn't win a trophy. Pochettino didn't win a trophy. Postecoglou didn't win a trophy. Conte didn't win a trophy. Mourinho didn't win a trophy. Are they all bums? No, that's just who Spurs are. And with Spurs, I'll speak on it now. In La Liga, you're so shameless. He managed Espanyol in La Liga. He name the last time Espanyol won something. What, like 70 years ago?
I get you on that. I get you on that. But
So
it wasn't. But it wasn't
the
the big. It wasn't the big. But it wasn't the big Spanish clubs that wanted him. It was a bang average Tottenham at the time that did. So it wasn't like he was so well in Spain.
You said bang average Tottenham. This is where your argument crumbles. He
No,
came to bang average Tottenham. What he made Tottenham Hotspur a Champions League club. And I went and I looked at the history of Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. 15th, 10th, 11th, 9th, 8th, 7th. He consistently made Tottenham Hotspur a Champions League club and got them to a Champions League final. Tottenham Hotspur built a whole new stadium when he had his strongest side, did not spend a penny for 2 summers, and he still managed to keep Tottenham Hotspur in the top 4. That is what Pochettino has achieved with Spurs. Now with PSG, I agree with you. Let
me just jump in on that bit there. So firstly, on Espanyol, they won their last trophy 3 years before he arrived. So they were relatively new that they won the Copa del Rey in 06. This is the thing, though. I don't think it does dispel my argument. I think he, at that level, at Espanyol, making him play nice football, making him competitive, he can do. I think taking over a club the size of Tottenham, with the pressure of Tottenham, with the expectations then of Tottenham, brilliant at that. But as soon as he got Tottenham near a title race, as soon as he got Tottenham into a final, his arse went. And one of the biggest complaints I remember Spurs fans having about him is, why did he make that stupid decision by playing somebody here and moving this person into midfield or going free at the back in a semi-final for no reason? He would galaxy brain it, and it's a sign of someone who isn't confident. He's gone into Chelsea, and Chelsea, I don't care what they were before 2004, Chelsea Football Club over the last 20 years have become an exceedingly bigger club and more successful team than Tottenham. And he's gone in there, £1 billion spent into...
mindset. Nope.
Well, he's gone in there, and the pressure for me is eating him alive. It is like a parasite within him. As soon as that pressure increases on Poch, he go. And I'll agree with the element of your statement. I think he may be the 3rd best coach in the league. I think when it comes to the elite end of that spectrum and challenging for trophies and titles, I would currently right now put him bottom of the top 6 managers in terms of having the cojones to get over the line. Arteta's won an FA Cup. Ten Hag has won a Carabao Cup in this country. We've seen them.
Than Arteta and Ten Hag.
Management and coaching is different, in my opinion. Managing and coaching are two different things.
Between them 3, I'm taking Poch at my club.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, personally, I cannot take a manager who's had a 13-year career and never won a trophy in any of the major leagues versus managers who have got into title races in those major leagues, won trophies in those major leagues. I couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't do it.
Context matters, Terry. Context matters. In your whole lifetime, how long have you been watching football? For a really long time, right? In your whole lifetime.
35 years.
How many trophies have you seen Spurs win? On a real, we're not even mocking it now.
In my life, I remember them winning 3 trophies.
Okay, so in the whole time of you watching football, you remember winning 3 trophies. Juan de Ramos literally last won them a Carabao Cup in 2008. So most like people in the chat who are like, maybe let's say, I don't know, 28 and under, 29 and under, maybe 30 and under. They've literally just seen Spurs win 1 trophy their whole life, and that's the Carabao Cup under Juan de Ramos. So he transformed Tottenham Hotspur. People around the world know who Tottenham Hotspur are because of Mauricio Pochettino. People in South Korea, in Jordan, in Egypt, in Brazil know Tottenham Hotspur because of Mauricio Pochettino.
So I can respect that opinion, and I think that's a fair thing to say. But he got Tottenham to a point where their squad was one of the most valuable in the world. I think it was top 4 in the world. And he got Spurs to a point where I genuinely believe for a 2-year period, they were one of the best teams in England. And generally speaking, and I'm talking on football ability here, not the mentality to handle the pressure, but on footballing ability, these guys went and beat Madrid in the Champions League. They were looking really good. But when they got to a certain point where you needed great management, you needed to be able to handle the pressure the occasion, I don't think he has it. So
I
there's
think
a
that's
lot.
out of context, Terry. That's very.
I don't think it is, because he developed a team to that level, but then could he get them over the line to win? No. And he may prove me wrong in his career.
Daniel Levy's fault, not his.
I don't necessarily. I think some parts are on Levy. I think to eradicate all blame from Poch, I think is personally wrong. I want to go to some of these comments that have come in here. This one says, Terry, more successful team, yes, but don't say Chelsea are bigger than Tottenham. No way they are.
Chelsea are definitely bigger than Tottenham.
Yeah, Chelsea for me are definitely bigger than Tottenham as well, especially now. Terry, why are you blaming Poch for Bowley's mistakes? I've not done that.
I actually agree with Twisted for once. It really is Bowley's.
Bowley's
you tell me right now who's the biggest culprit as why Chelsea's here? Todd
Bowley.
No,
that's the ownership. The ownership is, but we're not. I'm not. So the debate isn't who's the biggest culprit. My view and what I've said all along is I think you're right about buying too many young players. I think you're right about the rebuild going in the wrong direction at times. I think there's loads of issues at the club, but I don't. What we're talking about Poch and what he can do, and I'm saying that I do believe he's an issue as well. So Poch is not being blamed for anything that Todd Bowley has done. This guy doesn't,
perfect, but he's better than what else is available. This is the thing. Like from who's available to come to Chelsea.
I understand that point. This guy doesn't watch enough Chelsea to comment. It's clear to see he watches stats. And Liverpool, that's it. Your takes are just hate.
How are my takes just hate when I am defending the Chelsea manager? And when you come tell me I don't watch enough Chelsea, my brother, I do YouTube. I have to do straight facts every week. I've got to do my own channel. I cannot not watch a top 6 club. I have to watch all top 6 clubs. And I watched the Borough game. And I mentioned the missed chances that got fuck all to do with Pochettino. You had 5 clear-cut opportunities to score. Palmer, Broha, Gallagher. You had chances in that game to score and you missed them all. That's not Poch's fault. So let's.
By the way, I love how you say Borough. It sounds great. It says like you're saying borrow. When you said it a few times, I'm like, who's Borough? Oh, Borough. Right, I get it. Love it, mate. Let me on the stream so I can tear him a new one. Oh,
I love the fact I'm in your head rent-free, Flames. Big up to you.
I detest you, Husam, but on this, you're on point. Oh, detest.
Thank you, Arctic Smart.
That's a strong word. Jesus. How do you think Chelsea are going to get on this weekend against Everton? 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. How do you see that game going, bro? Fulham, sorry.
I think Chelsea are beating Fulham. I think Fulham are the weirdest team in the whole league, and I'll continue to say this because Fulham are the same team that beats West Ham 5-0 and then loses to Luton, or I think they lost to either Luton or Sheffield. Fulham makes zero sense. Fulham are the one club you watch and it just makes no sense. It's kind of like Watford from 4 or 5 years ago. Funnily enough, Marco Silva was their manager as well. But I think Chelsea are going to win this game. I don't see many goals because Chelsea's forwards suck. So Chelsea are going to win by a goal. I think it's just going to be 1-0 to Chelsea. Fulham have many players in the final third that can't make right decisions. I'm not going to hype them up just because they beat Arsenal. Arsenal are really bad run of form right now. And Arteta literally has a bigger call to get sacked than Pochettino in my mind. So, I think Fulham are going to lose this game. And I think Chelsea win this game 1-0.
Yeah, I think they're going to win as well. Albeit what we have done before, I think they'll win this game this weekend and probably move up in the league slightly as well. But they have to win because Poch is under tremendous pressure. Do you think he'll see out the season, rightly or wrongly? Do you think he'll see the season out?
Yes. Poch is under tremendous pressure by who? By Greasy Don and Chaz.
By the fans, yeah.
Fairs, the content creators and the Chelsea fans. Fairs. I have no problem with that. In Todd Bowley's mind, why should he sack Pochettino? For what exactly? Like he's probably looking at it.
What if he gets knocked out? What if he gets knocked out? What if he gets knocked out the Carabao Cup by a 12th placed championship team with 14 first team players out?
Terry, you know American owners. Do you think Todd Bowley gives a fuck about 100 grand he's going to get from winning?
Forget Todd Bowley. Do you think he deserves to be sacked if a 12th place championship team knock him out the Carabao Cup? No.
Nope. I don't think he deserves to get sacked.
Why wouldn't that warrant a sacking in your opinion?
Todd Bowley's not going to sack him, Terry.
That isn't the question. Why does it not warrant a sacking is what I asked.
Because he's not the main reason why they're here. It's not his fault. He asked for experience in the summer. He said, get me Vlahovic. He said, we need goals. They didn't listen to him. They gave him a team of kids. This is what he can do with this team of kids. And they're going to, by the way, the second leg is at Stamford Bridge against Borough, which they're probably going to win. So
yeah, I mean, I was just giving you a hypothetical. I think they'll win that game as well. I'm just trying to paint a picture because, yeah, listen, I think he'll survive the season unless things go dramatically wrong. But I think they've got to have a new alliance. Listen, remember, they only gave him a 2-year deal in the first place. That tells you they're not even fully backing him. Give him a 2-year deal, tells you. They're giving their players 8-year deals. They're giving the manager a 2-year deal. It speaks volumes, you know?
No,
it really does.
I understand what you're saying, and you're saying they're under pressure by the Chelsea fans. By the way, I was not calling out the Chelsea fans. I'm saying, okay, the Chelsea fans on YouTube and the Chelsea fans who go to the game and the content creators, they're calling out Pochettino. No problem with that. I'm looking at it from Todd Bowley's perspective because he's the guy that has the decision whether to sack him or not. From Todd Bowley's perspective, he's thinking, if I sack the guy, all I'm going to do is hit the reset button because it's fucking pointless. Are Chelsea going to get Zidane? No. Are they going to get Simeone? No. Are they going to get Ancelotti? No. Who are they going to get? Amarim, blah, blah, blah. They're all on Poch's level anyway. So there's no point.
Fair enough. Terry, would you take Poch over Klopp?
No one said that.
I mean, not even. I'd take Klopp's brother if he's got one over Poch. Yeah. If I'm being honest with you, I think there's more chance of him being successful. I don't even know if he's got any siblings.
I take Poch over Arteta, over Ten Hag, over Ange at my club.
I wouldn't. Not now. Knowing what we know, because I think all of those guys. Listen, he's in the semi-final here, and we'll go to the final. He'll lose to you guys. They'll lose to you guys. In my personal opinion, I think that you guys will win that. Big Ange will win a trophy in England before Poch does.
Nah, Spurs DNA will fail him. Spurs are going to beat City in the Premier League and then lose to them in the FA Cup. It's just because Spurs are just allergic to trophies. And I love how someone in the chat, you see how City fans just consistently seeking validation. You didn't mention Pep, Husam. Obviously, Pep and Klopp. No one's taking Poch over Pep and Klopp.
Why would we bring up Pep? There's zero reason to bring Pep up in here.
City fans want validation 24/7. It's so fucking jarring. Like,
do you know why you're not being mentioned?
Yeah, you're great. Like,
do you know why you're not being mentioned? Klopp only got mentioned. Klopp only got mentioned because someone commented it. The reason why Pep isn't being mentioned is because we're arguing about a team in mid-table. Why would City come up?
And obviously everyone's taking Pep over Poch. Obviously everyone's taking Pep over Poch. Obviously everyone's taking Klopp over Poch as well. We're talking about the rest, you guys, man.
Right now in football, everybody, including Husam, is taking Pep over everybody. We all know this. He's the best manager in the world. Liverpool fans won't admit it, but if they had the chance now for a magic wand to change it and have Pep as their manager and Klopp at City, they'd do the magic wand and have Pep. 100%. Lies.
Pep would never work at Liverpool. He would never work.
Yeah.
Same way Klopp wouldn't work at City. Let me just be honest, right? Klopp would not win what Pep has won at Manchester City because Klopp's Achilles heel is his loyalty. So Klopp could actually still have Fabian Delph at Manchester City had he been the manager. Pep Guardiola, one interview with John W. Henry, he resigns the next day. He does not win. Pep Guardiola does not get the resources that he gets at City at Liverpool.
Maybe. We'll see. He might be able to. Yeah, we'll see. Viewers, hit like buttons. Make sure you're subscribing. Story this afternoon that's come out in the Evening Standard is that Everton have told Arsenal it's going to cost them 60 million English pounds to sign Onana. They have set the fee. They've agreed to the fee and said, if you pay 60 million, he's your player. Do you see Arsenal parting with 60 million pounds sterling to land Onana? And is Onana the right midfielder to take that midfield of Arsenal forward in this title race?
League honor, North side, all Arteta outers, you were right. Arteta is fucking clueless. I think Arteta needs to get sacked immediately if Arsenal want to take their club to the next level. 100%. I think with this current situation, because Arsenal are in the Champions League and they're at where they're at, you can attract a Zidane or an Ancelotti or a Simeone or someone of the high level. Onana is an absolutely dreadful signing for Arsenal. One of the worst signings that I have seen in my lifetime if it happens. Onana is not an Arsenal midfielder at all. He's not press resistant. He's not good on the ball. He can't play a lone pivot. He is someone who is good on the counter attack. You're a Man United fan. He probably suits you 100 times more than he suits Arsenal to play Man United style, which is, sit back a little bit, go a bit defensive, have that pace and power on the counter attack. Onana is a horrible signing for Arsenal. And I think if Arsenal Football Club sign any player in this January window that is not a striker or a winger, then Arteta is just being stubborn and he's telling the whole world, I'm going to win the league with Martinelli, Saka, and Jesus, which is not going to happen. So they need a striker, they need a forward, and Onana is an absolutely dreadful signing. And when I look at Amadou Onana, I keep saying Amadou Onana, and the signing and the impact that he'll have on Arsenal, I don't even think he'll have any positive impact on Arsenal Football Club, even in the Champions League. Can you imagine Onana getting pressed by a Madrid midfielder or a City midfielder or an Inter Atletico midfielder? He would look so out of place. I have no idea what Arteta is doing all over the place. And this is just a dreadful signing for Arsenal Football Club. So for me, I'm looking at Onana, just not good enough for Arsenal and not what Arsenal need to begin with. So, yeah. So 1 second, this guy has been commenting for the last 2 weeks. I want to tell him a new one. His comment is Arteta's better than Pep. This is the guy that wants to tell me.
You don't even need to come on now. You've said that. Now you've said
You've
that.
lost already.
What are you saying, my G? Come on now. Look, I understand what you're saying with Onana. I think Onana is a good signing. I do think their midfield needs some support. I suppose I look at it from two ways. Can they get a top quality strike? Can they actually get a top quality striker in? The answer is no. When the answer is yes, what do you mean by that?
Everyone has a price. Brentford are chatting shit. Call Brentford, offer 100 million, you win the league this season. Toney, that's all you need.
So you think this is this isn't a case of they don't have the money, they've got to wait until the summer. You think this is just a case of Arsenal being cheap and not doing what's required to win the league? You think this is just sort of PR nonsense? They're being cheap. They're going to buy maybe a £20 million alternative, probably come second, and then say, we kind of go again. You think it's all just excuses, really?
Yes, it's all excuses, 100%. I backed Arsenal at the start of the season to win the league. I was the only guy on Straight Facts to say Arsenal will win the league. So I already hold Arsenal to a very high regard, very high standard. I look at Arsenal Football Club right now, and I'll give you a prime example. See how I just defended Pochettino? The game against Liverpool in the first half, Arteta coached a 4-0. Let's all cut the crap here. Let's be honest. Havertz, Odegaard, Saka, Reece Nelson, all of them miss chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. That's not Arteta's fault. Arteta's fault is signing Havertz. Arteta's fault is looking at this team and thinking we don't need a forward. That's Arteta's fault. Now, okay, last season you scored 88 goals. You look at the current state of the squad. I'm like, okay, Martinelli got 2 goals in 18. Saka's not firing. Jesus is not firing. Nketiah is the second highest goal scorer after Saka, and he scored a hat-trick in one of them games. So obviously he's not doing well. So he needs a forward. And in football, there's 2 things I want to say here. First of all, they got enough players to sell. There's rumors that Palace wanting Nketiah for 30-40 million. Get rid of him. Ramsdale wants out anyway. Get rid of him. That's already 60-70 million you just made right there. So just put 20-30 million on top of it. Toney, structured plan over the next 4 or 5 years. He's only 28. He could probably play till he's 32, 33. Napoli are a selling club. They'd probably be willing to sell Osimhen. There are so many solutions for Arsenal to go out there and get someone who can come in and score goals and help them win this league. Because I look at Arsenal Football Club, and they're a club 100% capable of winning the league. Saliba and Gabriel is a very good defensive partnership. The right back and left back are calm. Zinchenko is not a scapegoat. Stop scapegoating him. I think Rice has been the signing of the summer. I'm looking at Odegaard. He's woken up in the last 4 or 5 games. Like, he's creating. Saka needs a running mate. Get him that running mate. Like, even though I think he's a bit too predictable, he still needs someone to help him out. And the other 4 aren't helping him out. Trossard included. So they need a forward right now. And there is no such thing as Arsenal cannot get them. Because as we were speaking about right now, if you call John W. Henry right now and go like, are you going to sell Mo Salah? He'll tell you no. You call him after it by 5 minutes and go like, I'm going to wire you 500 million for Mo Salah. He's selling him. So everyone has a price in the world. If you call PSG right now and go like, here's 700 million, they're going to sell you Mbappe. As an example, I know obviously no one's going to pay that much money. But the point is, everyone has a price. Brentford are coming out and saying, oh my God, Toney's not up for sale, blah, blah, blah. Call them, offer them 70 million and Nketiah. So you have the replacement ready as well. How about that? Give them a player the other way as well. And Nketiah would actually do well at Brentford because that's his type of club. So there's always solutions. Napoli as well, themselves, they're a selling club. They're willing to sell anyone for the right price. Yes, they're a little bit stubborn to deal with, but they're willing to sell. So sell them. So there's always solutions. But, and by the way, Toney's low-key what they need because they need a player with a bit of swagger. Troops keeps telling me, Husam, the problem is our players want to pass the ball into the back of the net. And I'm like, actually, when someone says something and you watch the club he's referring to and like it's instilled in your brain and you're watching it, you're like, yo, I actually get what he's saying. Reece Nelson got the ball. He was against Trent. He passed it back to Odegaard, who then passed it back to Rice, who then passed it back to Saliba. And I'm thinking, goodbye, man. I actually get what he's saying now. Because their left winger was 1-on-1 with my right back, and somehow the ball ended up in their centre back. So these are all things. They don't have a forward with swagger to shoot, to try something, to take a risk. This is the problem.
Yeah, I listen, I get it. I just, you don't think, because it isn't just Arsenal. So many clubs are nowhere near spending any money this January. And I do feel as though clubs are fearful of FFP breaches after Everton got their 10-point deduction. There's a lot of rumours going around that the Premier League are showing their teeth because they want to build a precedent for the court case against Manchester City. They want to be able to show the adjudicators, should City be found guilty, and the Premier League issues a massive punishment, they want to be able to show, look, you get 10 points for breaching FFP rules when you've done it in an honest way. This team has lost 10 points for breaching it. They tried not to, but they still breached it. We want to take 50 points away because they cheated it. There's a lot of thoughts going around that's why because you actually look at this month, Man United done nothing, City done nothing, Liverpool, you guys, it's absolutely sparse in terms of even news and rumours around Liverpool. So it's not as though Arsenal are the only club who are not going out the way. Everyone thought you guys were going to go out and buy a DM. People expected City to maybe address some of the poor signings over the last few years. Man United definitely need a goal scorer. We haven't moved either. Now, we're not in the title race, so you could argue it's different for us. Maybe we can wait. But why are Arsenal the only team who are being dragged over the coals for saying they're not doing enough to win the league when other clubs, big clubs that are in the title race that were expected to buy more players are also doing nothing? Why is it only Arsenal who are being kind of called out?
City and Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
Alongside Arsenal, essentially, City and Liverpool. You don't really think anyone else could win the league. By the way, I've already lambasted Spurs for doing the same thing earlier on, so I'm keeping the same energy. Spurs, mathematically speaking, are only 6 points above the top. Had they shown ambition, signed 2 world-class players, they could possibly win this league, 100%. There is no crystal clear favorite right now. Now, when it comes to Arsenal, they're in a title race alongside 2 teams, Liverpool and Manchester City. Manchester City does not need to sign anyone. KDB is back. They've got Rodri. They've got Haaland. They've got Alvarez. They've got options in abundance. And, they've already spent 300 billion on their team anyway. So they don't need to sign players. Liverpool, you're saying, aren't getting lambasted, but they are getting lambasted. By myself, who's a Liverpool fan, by multiple Liverpool fans online. I've actually spoken to one of the guys I would consider a top red 2 days ago. And he was like, you're right, Husam. Unless we can clone Joe Gomez and make 2 of him, we need to sign someone this January. And I will continue to lambast my owners for not showing enough ambition to want to win. This is just the fact, because it's on the ownership to now look at the current state of the team and go like, let me help out Klopp a little bit. Let me get a centre back. So I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm lambasting them. And I'm looking at Arsenal and I'm lambasting them. And I'm lambasting Tottenham Hotspur. All 3 clubs need to show ambition in January, or you could just kiss the Premier League goodbye and give it to Man City. Simple as. Because unless Martinelli finds the back of the net again and Saka and these guys, suddenly step up from now until June, unless suddenly Timo Werner scores 30 goals until June, or Liverpool have 0 injuries, we know that City are going to end up winning the league.
So I understand that. And I understand you're saying they should all do it. But every single club is reporting that they are very close to, it isn't actually FFP, it's profit and sustainability rules within the Premier League, but I think we all just refer to it as FFP. They're all reporting that they are flying very close to the wind in relation to that. They're right at the edge. So if Liverpool and Arsenal,
I don't think Liverpool are close to breaking FFP rules.
I'm just going by things that I've read. So if they're not, then they're not. But I'm saying these are things I'm reading in certain publications. If a team is close to breaching those rules, and the talk is that anyone who breaches it, end of this season, they're going to issue them with points deductions. Is it worth potentially breaking the rules and getting a points deduction? Is that the same as not trying to win the league? Because surely you don't want your team to breach the rules.
Yeah, but I've given you a solution, Terry. They have players that want to leave Arsenal, sell them. Nketiah, Crystal Palace. I'm not making up a rumor. They wanted him since the summer.
Have they bid? Have they bid yet?
But they want him. So let's say if you're desperate,
but they've got to bid. If they don't bid, there's nothing Arsenal can do, is there?
No, but if they refuse to sell him in the summer, then they're probably refusing to sell him now. So that's on the club for keeping Nketiah. That's another thing. For example, I'd blame Arteta. I know it's not just the owner's fault. It's also Arteta getting involved. So if there is some sort of FFP problem, there's 2 or 3 players that want out of Arsenal now. Get rid of them. Might as well just get rid of them now and get in your players. And by the way, when we get to May or June, Arsenal are going to be looking at signing a striker anyway. So why wait until May or June? If you are in a position now where we look at City and City aren't, that strong or that amazing as they were last season, okay, take advantage. The problem is our clubs, and I say our clubs because my club is the same, it's just not taking advantage.
I do get it. Listen, and if the money's there and it turns out there are no FFP problems, and I completely agree. The issue that we have is I understand there are certain fans of each. We all have a group of people that support our clubs who just say, no, it's PR nonsense. There is money we can spend. But when all the clubs are doing it at the same time, I just don't think it's as simplistic as clubs are refusing to spend. Man United just got new owners who have pumped in 1.6 billion. We're not going out. I think our situation's a little different. I actually don't want us until we've sorted out our plan and our tactics and what we're going to do moving forward as a club to drop £100 million on a player, because he might end up being the wrong player for what you decide to do as a football club. So contextually, I kind of understand it. You have to look at the situations as well. So Ivan Toney is a great example. What's your thoughts on the stories that have come out that he has told Brentford he is going to repay them for the faith in him during this tough time, with a player out injured, a player at AFCON, and then being in a relegation battle, that he has stated, I am going to stay here until the end of the season. What can Arsenal do? What can Liverpool do? What can Chelsea do? What can Spurs do about a player in that situation that says, I'm just not going to leave?
You know how you can repay Brentford? By giving them £100 million. You give them £100 million and a replacement for Ivan Toney. You have repaid them massively. Because how much did Brentford buy Toney for? How much did they get him for? That's an incredible question. So they made how much? Like probably 100% profit on his original price. Like not 100%, 1,000% actually. If they sell him for 100 million, I don't know how much they bought him for. I'm speculating here. But yeah, you could repay them by giving them 100 million in the owner's bank account to go buy a striker that would help keep you up. Simple as. And by the way, and Nketiah as an example, Nketiah is not even that. And I know people dislike Nketiah and he's crap and blah, blah, blah. Nketiah for a team like Brentford is not a bad signing. It is not a bad signing because Nketiah will score goals at Brentford. He's semi-clinical. You give him 2-3 chances, he bags one. That's what Brentford need. So, they can replace Toney. They can improve their squad overall with 100 million. Because a club like Brentford, let's be real, will take that 100 million and buy 5 players.
Yeah, look, listen, I'm not suggesting I'm here to ask questions. I get where you're coming from. I just think there's something else at play. But obviously, it depends on your disposition. You're either going to say, my club didn't try hard enough. If you're sort of behind your club at this moment in time, you're probably going to say, no, we're being sensible, sustainable for the future. They've got to buy someone, though, Arsenal, as they're not going to win the league this year.
Onana is definitely not that someone.
Well, I think it's interesting because there've been Arsenal fans all year that have said that the left side of their midfield is a bigger issue to them than their attackers.
I think,
but at the same time, I thought that Saka and Martinelli would have clicked into gear by now for them as well. So I suppose you've got to weigh those.
Martinelli got 2 goals in
up.
18 games.
I know it's crazy. Who says who, Terry? Well, just watch our Arsenal match reactions and listen to what dozens and dozens of gooners have called in and said over the whole season. That's where I take, when I say Arsenal fans say this and Spurs fans say this, I'm talking about the people that super chat, comment on, and come on our shows. And if you watch all our content, you would see it. So watch more Football Terrace content, and you don't need to ask questions like that because it becomes almost self-explanatory. The zombie fanatic here says, Husam, how are you? Do you think Liverpool will make any signings this January?
Trusting Liverpool Football Club to make a signing when you need it is like trusting a toddler to like unscrew a HD television and put it up on the wall. He just can't do it. And this is the problem with my football club. This where every time in the transfer market across the season, Terry will tell you this, I've actually been quite positive. When we drew to Luton, when we drew to Brighton, we've had bad results this year. I've backed my club, I've backed my team, I've not said anything negative. When it comes to the transfers, this is where a leopard doesn't change its spots. The Liverpool version of a leopard not changing its spots is our transfer window. I do not trust this ownership group, the same ownership group that, you know, when we were top of the league in 2020, 2021, gave us Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies. You know, so look, obviously we need a center back as things stand because Matip's out at the end of the year. And actually done a bit of calculation. We've already played 31 plus games. If all goes well in the Europa League, we're going to play 7 games. We have 18 Premier League game left. That's 25 games. We've got 2 Carabao Cup games left. That's 27 games. And the FA Cup. So it rounds up to almost 30 games from now until June. Now, because I exist in the real world and I don't exist in the ideal world, in the real world, injuries happen. In the real world, problems like that happen. So because injuries do happen, because people do get injured, because people do get fatigued, because people can't play 15 competitions all in the same time, I will remind the Liverpool fans that are calling me negative now of the quadruple charge season in which Thiago and Fabinho had to take steroid injections in their knees to play a Champions League final. And this is exactly why you need rotation. This is exactly why you need help. So I'm looking at Liverpool Football Club right now. There's no FFP problems. We got money. We just clearly don't have the ambition. FSG out until they prove me otherwise. We need a centre back. I think DM, I could live with McAllister, my midfielder there, my baller, Alexis McAllister, and Endo being there. And I actually think probably we need maybe a forward more than a DM right now. But the ultimate priority for me is a centre back, is a defensive player, 100%.
I'll get you on that. This super chat here says Todibo linked to Liverpool in the summer, and we should get him now. He can cover injuries at right back and centre back because Trent is injured. Injury is worse than thought. And
this is an example of what I was telling you with Arsenal. Matip is out at the end of the season, Terry. They're saying this season is going to be Matip's final season at Liverpool. Now the question in my mind becomes, okay, so you're going to get rid of Matip in the summer anyway, and you're going to buy a centre back anyway. What are we waiting for exactly? Might as well just get the centre back in now. It makes.
I'm going to say this: I don't think you're going to get Todibo. If Man United want him, Man United are getting him. The owner of Nice is the owner of Man United now. I genuinely mean this. It's just it's going to be a Man United player unless we don't want him. Then somebody else will get him.
Apparently, they don't want to sell because they're only 4 points behind the PSG. I think.
Yeah, right now they're not gonna do it. German chicken wing says, "I thought this fraud said Arsenal will finish first."
I thought you said you supported City your whole life. Turns out yesterday he admitted he supported Arsenal before. Pick up German chicken wing. Bro.
Is that Hamza's brother, bro?
Yeah, Hamza's cousin.
That's one talented toddler if he can fit a TV.
LCN, it's the opposite of what I said. The toddler can't fit a TV, and FSG can't spend money when we need it. So,
I wanted to ask you a question about Liverpool. Yes. What's been your thoughts recently on the performances from Curtis Jones.
I like how you just mentioned Curtis Jones there out of all the players because you know the history of Husam and Curtis Jones. I think Curtis Jones has improved massively over the last 12 months. Since the last 10 games of last season and the start of this season, I think he's been our second best midfielder after McAllister. I still think McAllister has been our best midfielder this year and has been our signing of the season. Everything's positive at Liverpool right now in terms of on the pitch wise. Very happy with the results, very happy with the win away at the Emirates. Even the only loss we've had this season in the league has been a VAR atrocity. So I'm very positive about where the team are at. Do I think we have what it takes to go over the edge and win stuff? No, I don't think we're going to win the Premier League. And once again, that's because I exist in real life. I don't exist in an ideal world. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be stuff like that. We have Europa League. We've got a Carabao Cup to still to play for. We've got an FA Cup as well now. So I think from 21st January until 4th February, we've got about 5 games in a period of 12, 13 days. We've got the Carabao Cup semis, the second leg, and then we've got about 3 Premier League games, and we have the FA Cup game against Bristol or Norwich as well. So we've got so many games of football to play. So rotations are going to be key, but at the same time, Konate is an injury waiting to happen. Joe Gomez has an injury in him. We cannot clone Joe Gomez. When it comes to Curtis Jones, when it comes to our midfield, I'm actually quite happy with our midfield this season. I think our midfield has done really well. Szoboszlai has had a good season. McAllister's had a good season. Gravenberg has probably been the disappointing signing of the summer. Endo has shocked us all. Curtis Jones has stepped up. Elliott has had important moments for us. So I think our midfield, that's why I said, listen, with new evidence comes new opinions. I'm not so shot on Liverpool getting a DM anymore. I don't think DM is a priority now because McAllister and Endo can show that they've done a good job there for me, and specifically over the last 2-3 months. But centre back is what we need.
And I like how you've answered that because it shows, what you said before, because someone sent me a clip and they were like, please show this to Sam and get his opinion on it. But I wanted to get your opinion before I showed the clip to put it into context. Do you remember saying this?
Curtis Jones is worse than Charlie Adam. And I say that with full chest. Curtis Jones has never hit the level of Charlie Adam at Blackpool. That's just the fact. He's never even hit. He's genuinely one of the worst players I've ever seen play for my club. Did Tom Little send you that clip? Be honest.
No, it got sent to me by a random on Twitter. He was like, can I send you this clip? I want you to ask Husam. It wasn't to try and catch you out. It was more to say, can you ask Husam if his opinion on Curtis Jones has changed in the last year or so? So I thought I'd ask you, that's why I asked you first, because I didn't want to play that and then people would say you're just saying it. And you did. You said with new information, things change. And the reason I put it out there is because I think in the industry that we're in, doing what we do, fan opinion, everybody's always too hell-bent on something you said a year ago, 2 years ago, an opinion you used to hold. And I thought my response is almost, unless you watch everything I say and do every single day, it's almost, you've got to drop this sort of over challenging of everything, because we all change our minds and opinions over the course of time. And if somebody watches you week in, week out, they'd have probably seen you on multiple occasions praise Curtis Jones.
Yes.
And kind of say, he's really impressed me. He's changing my mind. It's just weird. I know a year and a half ago, you said this. And the person just said, can you see if he's changed his mind? I thought I'd show it and see, but thought I'd do a touch and let you answer the question first, which is
I did change my mind because listen, at the time of saying that, I stick by my opinion. At said time of saying it, Curtis Jones was
awful then. He was
awful and he stepped up. So if he steps up, he gets praise. At the time, he was shit. It's the reality.
Absolutely. And Chicken Wing here says this is why you can't take him seriously. But let me just respond on your behalf for a minute here. This is the problem. That was a match reaction after losing in the last minute at home to Leeds. So you're emotional. 2, that's how Husam believed he was performing at that time. Curtis Jones has gone away, improved, become better, and he's become a critical part of the team. Where Husam, I would say you're right to not take him seriously, is if Husam doesn't let go of that opinion, continues to berate him, doesn't praise the improvement, and looks for any excuse to ride out and shoot the guy down. He hasn't. He said, I just don't believe that anymore. He's improved. He's impressed me. I think you should take somebody in life more seriously who says, I got that wrong, or I was wrong a year ago, or I was right a year ago and I'm wrong now, whatever it may be. That's generally in life the people you should take seriously. Because when it comes to talking football, let's take it just to football. When it comes to giving an opinion, I would say you're lucky if anybody's right about more than 20%. Now, a lot of people go, I'm right about everything. It isn't true. You might be right in the moment when something's really popular, but there's loads of things that lots of people get wrong. Me, Husam, Lee, Sav, I'm just talking about the straight facts people here. We all get things wrong. We all get things right. The only ones you shouldn't take seriously are the grown men, because we're all men that do this show on my channel, the straight fact shows, that don't hold their hands up and say, I got that one wrong. That for me is what you should avoid, like the plague, bruv. 110%.
Yeah, and listen, at the time of me saying that, Curtis Jones really was trash. So listen, it wasn't just me who had that opinion. It was just my face in front of a camera. But many people did agree with me at the time. And now, since the last 10 games of last season, starting with this season as well, he's played really well and he deserves credit. And 100%, I've given him credit. And, you know, it is what it is. There were people who said way worse things last season, by the way. There were people who were flop out. There were people who were saying sell Mo Salah, sell Trent, sell Virgil. I never said any of that shit. I just called Curtis Jones trash because he was trash at the time.
El Carp here says, well, it's interesting that you are saying this because that's what people on your shows does a lot. They want to take praise we gave to Arsenal players from last season and apply it to this season. But then that's the job of the other panelists to call them out. I call them out. You call them out. That's why it's a community. So you don't have to agree. You don't have to just accept somebody's opinion in the moment that you think's wrong. And equally, I do think it's one of one of my bugbears at the moment is Arsenal are linked to some players. And I see certain people get asked the question, do you think X is good enough? Well, you guys shouldn't even be challenging it because you said if Arteta backs him, you'll back it. And it's like, well, that's not an answer, is it? Like, I want your opinion on things. So this whole I'm not gonna, and a lot of people do this now in the YouTube space, and it's so annoying. Instead of answering questions which could leave them being laughed at in the future, they just throw it back to, well, you guys have said this before, so therefore that's what I'm going to answer with now. And it's boring. Like, imagine we all stop giving opinions. There'd be no point of doing what we do. So I get where you're coming from, but your job as a viewer is to challenge it. And the jobs of the panel is to challenge it. And sometimes you'll have a panel that agrees with it. The next, in the last week, we spoke about Poch 2 or 3 times. We've had some people say sack him. We've had people like Husam say keep him. It's the balance. If everybody had the same opinion, it'd be really boring. Do you think we should not sign Mbappe because Liverpool is great because we have signed great potential and refrain from signing stars? So you're going to turn down Mbappe because he's already a star? Come on, Jackie.
Jackie, please. Jackie, you have just made me bang my head 5 times on this empty water bottle right here. I've just banged my head 5 times on it. I'm going to use an example from a different sport. In the draft that Michael Jordan was available in, the Portland Trail Blazers infamously went first. They needed a center at the time. There was a guy who was advising the Portland Trail Blazers, and they said, get Jordan and play Jordan at center. It doesn't matter as long as you get the guy. With Kylian Mbappe, it does not matter what type of structure we have, what kind of payments we make, what type of shit we do. Get Mbappe at Liverpool Football Club ASAP if it's a possibility. If we can do it, do it. Couldn't care less how much we pay. It's not what we usually do. Mbappe, Salah, and a forward in this Liverpool team would be a danger to the football world entirely. So yeah, have some shame, Jackie.
This here says, Husam, the way Endo has adapted and excelled in the last 6 games, I think, has impressed me too. What is happening with Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, though? Charlie Adams is in midfield. It's kind of weird the direction that them two have gone compared to Endo with how it started, but I think that's the peaks and troughs of all of them joining a new league. I think you'll get a bit of that. There'll be probably more time this year again where Endo drops off a little bit again, and it takes them a little time to settle, I suppose.
Yeah, and look, Endo and McAllister were getting criticized at the start of the season, and once again, this goes back to the Jones thing, and rightfully so, because Szoboszlai was by far our best midfielder at the start of the season. Now, everyone's looking at this team and like, yo, low-key, McAllister's our best midfielder. People are jumping on the McAllister train that I started. The train has set off now, though, so there's no more tickets available. So if you did not buy McAllister stocks, you can no longer buy them. We're full. But yeah, listen, Gravenberch specifically, I think out of our 4 signings, Gravenberch has been by far the worst performing out of the four.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Twisted here says, Terry, don't you crave footballing opinion validation? No, it's nice when people agree with your opinion. It's nice when somebody says, yeah, I get where you're coming from. It can be infuriating when you're having a live debate and the other person either doesn't get or pretends to not understand the angle you're coming from. But I don't think I ever wake up and go, oh, please, today somebody agree with me. I'm so desperate for people to agree. Sometimes you put a video out and it bangs and you get a lot of people say, wow, you were right. Sometimes you put it out and it bangs in terms of numbers, but everyone says you're an idiot. I don't really think about it in that context. That's never what I've done. It's never what I've chased. So no, not personally, but I understand that some people do. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in as always while we're live. It's humbling to us. It really, really is. So Sam, always a pleasure to speak football with you, buddy. Everyone who's super chatted, you're amazing. Everyone who's hit the like button, thank you. If you haven't done so yet, get it smashed. Turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss any of our content. Obviously, we're back tomorrow with match reactions for you from the Chelsea game. And of course, Newcastle versus City in the evening as well. This is, Terry, would you cry if Fergie called you an idiot? Depends what he was calling me an idiot for, but potentially, because I respect that man a lot. But there we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.